Okay, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, but let's get right to it, okay? I just watched Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian, the season finale. And, coming down off to the high of The Rise of Skywalker, it's nice to get some new, fresh Star Wars stuff dropped in our lap before we get nothing for 2020. I don't think that we're going to get anything for 2020. I really enjoyed this episode. Some of the things I want to talk about going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, don't finish this video. But if you have seen it, let's continue. I loved the opening segment before the title card with the two speeder bike. First of all, I think one of the things that I love about this show is that they are humanizing stormtroopers in a way that we've never seen. Like, yeah, they have lives, they have conversations, they talk about things. And this little segment in the beginning where the two speeder bike guys were just conversing back and forth, and then they did a little target practice and couldn't shoot anything, which was hysterical. And one of the things that stood out to me was when the clone Yoda in the bag gets punched. And I know that, like, the first time that happened, I know most of the audience, like me, cringed. We're like, oh God, he hit a baby. Because, like, that's how it feels. I mean, we've connected with this baby Yoda, clone Yoda, since its original reveal. And now with all the toys hitting the market and everything, everybody just loves this character. And to see it get punched was jarring. Even though it was in the bag, you never saw it get hit. And then when he did it a second time, you're like, oh my God. And then when the other stormtrooper got bit and he hit it, I was like, oh dude, this guy is going to do some sort of force push and just blow these guys away. But it never did. But it was still very cringy to punch at the baby. Like, I think people flipped out a little bit about that. Bob Iger just did an episode of the Star Wars show right before Rise of Skywalker, and he talked and he said it is not Yoda or a baby Yoda, and they don't like it being called Baby Yoda. Even Jon Favreau has been frustrated throughout this process that everybody has labeled it Baby Yoda. But what else the hell are we going to call it if you're not going to give out the name? They held back the marketing. So, but we do know that, and I have a feeling it is a clone of Yoda, but it definitely, they say it definitely has a name and it's not the child, and it will be revealed in the future. Hopefully in season 2, we'll learn a little bit more. It's still doing the goo goo gaga, like baby stuff. At 50 years old, I'm still having trouble with that, thinking that maybe it's playing possum and one day it's just going to start talking and everyone's going to be like, oh, it could talk the whole time. We do get this connection between, we finally get the reveal of the super battle droids that were killing everyone in the village. And the whole time I thought, because this is like taking place during the Clone Wars, that when the doors opened, it would have been the older Yoda, original OG Yoda, that saved the Mandalorian as a child from his village. But at that point, he wasn't a Mandalorian because he was a foundling, much like the younglings. They always have these names for kids, which is, I get it. So a foundling is like when you find a child, an orphan. So, but he was saved by a Mandalorian, and all the other Mandalorians came to fight the super battle droids. And that's when they took him into the clan as a child, a foundling, and which is why this baby Yoda, clone Yoda, is considered a foundling, and that this Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, found him, so he claims him and is now his father, just like the Mandalores before. Lots of dead stormtroopers. Of course, IG-11 just totally kicked ass the whole time until he had to execute his protocol in order to save everybody and self-destruct. I love the R2-D2 unit, the R2 unit. gondola lava boat driver. I thought that was really original. And to see, him in all the soot, and then rise up and have the arms and legs like that R2 unit did was pretty badass. That's something we've never seen before in Star Wars. Maybe it's in Legends and the comic books and stuff. I've never seen it. Loved it. Would love to see more of those. It almost felt like it was a hybrid between the R2 units and the Imperial droids, like the Imperial droids from Rogue One with the arms and legs. It's still really creative. Love the lava gondola guy. Although with all the technology they have, you think they would come up with something better to escort people on a lava flow than a gondola driver. We finally got the unmask of Pedro Pascal, which I was hoping would never happen, at least in the first season. But at least it was IG-11 that got to see his face, a droid, and then he sacrificed himself. So no one really got to see him unmasked. I love the Bacta spray that healed his brain. I thought that's pretty cool. There was a really awesome TIE fighter battle between the Mandalorian and the Giancarlo Esposito, which I love. Love the guy. Quick little thing. He, back in 1980, I think it was like 82 or 81 or something. Giancarlo Esposito, he must have been like 18 or 19 years old, but one of his big breaks was a movie called Maximum Overdrive, which he's a guy that got electrocuted playing a video game early in the film when all the machines came alive. It was this Stephen King movie, and he shot that here in my hometown. And then I got to work with him on Revolution for NBC, which they also shot here in my hometown. So there's a connection here with Giancarlo Esposito. And so I love anytime I see him because I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. The battle between the TIE fighter and the Mandalorian, something we've never seen before in Star Wars. I love that all this stuff is fresh and new and they're doing things we've just never seen. And last but not least, I'll just throw this out here again. I said it once before in another video that this movie takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, or this series. And, one of the things that I've thought is the Mandalorian ever going to cross paths with Luke Skywalker? And I thought, there's the big brouhaha about Sebastian Stan. Even Mark Hamill gave him his blessing and said if he wanted to take on a Luke Skywalker in his prime, he'd have no problem with it, and thought it would be really awesome. And one of the things that the Mandalorian has to do is reunite the foundling. It's the child, now it's the foundling, Yoda clone, with its family or its race. So, the next couple of seasons, maybe him trying to fly around the galaxy, and then this thing's going to start to grow up. Who knows if it gets growth spurts and it gets bigger, quicker. But if it is a Force user like it is, like we've seen throughout the series, it's a Force user, even as much as doing, and I know why they released that last episode on Wednesday before The Rise of Skywalker came out, because then we got to see the healing of Carl Weathers' arm using the Force, which is something that we'd not seen on camera before. So then it wasn't going to be so jarring when it happened in the Rise of Skywalker. But anyway, I feel like when they say you need to reunite him with his kind, this sorcerer race, and then they talked a little bit about the Mandalorians and the Jedi. So this was the first time in the series that the Jedi's even been brought up. And if Luke Skywalker's still out there and they need to reunite this guy, how this plays along in the rest of the Skywalker saga and all the other movies, who knows? They may not ever go in this direction at all. But they are intertwining a lot of the like Star Wars Rebels with the Giancarlo Esposito. Big spoiler, pops up out of the wreckage of that TIE fighter with a black saber, which is the Mandalorian. There was only one black saber, I think, and it was passed down for thousands of years, and it was Mandalorian Jedi. So it's a lightsaber, but it's black. It's badass if you haven't seen it. Um, so, how Giancarlo Esposito's character obtained the black saber, we don't know, but he looked pretty badass with the cape there. And looks like we've got a new supervillain. Um, but how this, figures into everything else, we don't know. And we're going to have to wait till season 2 to find out. And I'd love to see somehow they bring in Luke Skywalker. The only problem with that, if they did, in some capacity, is as soon as you bring in Luke Skywalker, it's like when they made Rogue One. They had to be very careful when they brought Darth Vader into the film, because as soon as you see Darth Vader, all you want is to see more Darth Vader. So you had to be very careful. The same with The Mandalorian. You don't want to bring in Luke Skywalker, a younger version of Luke Skywalker, um, uh, in his prime, into The Mandalorian, because then it doesn't become The Mandalorian anymore. People are just going to want to see Luke Skywalker, since we didn't really get the Luke Skywalker we wanted with the new trilogy, doing Force Unleashed type things, or even training new Jedi at the Jedi Temple. There's just a lot that's going to go on here, and that's the whole point of the show, is to keep you hooked. But I guess we've got like a year before the next episode of The Mandalorian drops, or it could be next fall. So I don't know, man. It's a lot to take in, but at least we can binge watch The Mandalorian all the way through now, and just, watch these episodes over and over and over again, and just wonder if they're gonna put out any books or novels or anything that's gonna tie it all together. What did you guys think? Did you like the season finale? Was it action packed enough for you? I thought it was good. I don't think it was the best episode out of all the episodes that have been out. I still think episode 3, which to me felt like John Wick in outer space, was the best episode of the Mandalorian so far. But all of them have just been top notch. So tip my hat to all the cast and crew. And everybody at Lucasfilm, and Kathleen Kennedy, the executive producer, and Jon Favreau and all the guys, for bringing this to life. Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, Bryce Dallas Howard, Taki Watiti. Oh my God, I butchered his name. I always butcher his name. It's not easy to say when you see it written down. But anyway, that's it. So let's talk about it in the comments section. We'll see you on the next one.